Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hi, this is David Theus, and you are tuning in. You're either watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify or wherever you catch your podcast to the Saturday morning coaching call, brought to you by the Small Business Patriot and Northeast Florida Business Alliance, aka the Alliance. And we'll get to that a little bit better about what that means. This is episode number 20. And today is June 4th, 2022. In real time, it's 9:11 a.m. And we do this on Saturday mornings from 9 to 10. So real time is 9:11. We're getting started a little bit late. My co-host today, as usual, is Peggy Lynch. I'm joined with Peggy Lynch with 21K Promotions. Good morning, Peggy.
Good morning, David, and everyone.
And Peggy, let's get started with you giving us a little overview of who you are, what you do, and if you got a little kind of a light business story that maybe you can share, that client relationship kind of thing that you brought to the table, solution. Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So as a branding specialist, I help my clients find solutions, speaking of which, to their marketing issues. Well, we do that using branded merchandise where we place a logo, a message, contact information, whatever the case, depending on the purpose, in the marketing plan. So that's what we do. And like any industry, there's some problems with, supply and demand, with supply actually. And that is especially true in my industry. So it's a little bit nerve-wracking. Either way, I had a wine glass order in-house for an event. And after it was all in process, I'm then told they don't have enough inventory and they're not expecting it until late June. And I was a wreck. This is for an event. But I thought I would just keep checking back with the factory every day and see and hope. And lo and behold, on June 1st, they all showed up. So we're all good to go. That is very exciting for me.
Were they stuck on a shelf in the back, or they actually showed up at the receiving?
I'm told they showed up at receiving, but
this is everyone hears about the supply chain, stuff in the news, and I often wonder, do people fully understand what's going on and how it may touch their lives on you go to the grocery store and certain things are out, but at this point anyway, I don't want to belittle or diminish this problem because it's huge. And being the small business patriot, it's a problem. But I don't think the average Joe or Jill fully comprehends what's happening until it happens to them, until it's across their dining room table. And so here you are as a provider of solutions, and part of your solutions are predicated on you being able to get some products, and
right.
And in real time, it's not your fault. It's not something you did or didn't do, but your people that upline or downline, I guess it would be upline, who you're counting on to provide these products, it's really not their fault either. I mean, it's wherever they get their stuff from. It suddenly becomes real. I mean, I guess if you'd gone back to your customer and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, your cups or your glasses are on a boat out there somewhere," so sad, you'd have a customer that's pissed off possibly. And they really wouldn't have much recourse, because the likelihood, if you can't find it, nobody can. That's what I know about Peggy. If Peggy's like a dog with a bone, if you send her out to go get it, she'll find it. And if she can't, it may not be anywhere on the planet.
Well, at that point, then we create it.
Well, yeah. So maybe on another podcast, another episode, I don't want to pick on your industry because it's a great industry by all means, and great solutions and great products. But I know it's heavily sourced out of a certain part of the world. A lot of it is, not all of it, by no means, not all of it. Is that something that you're working on to identify solution providers from maybe close to home? Have you thought about that?
Yes. Oh, absolutely, absolutely. So we can, narrow down by what I look for initially is American-made products.
So
okay.
Today's databases, and I'm slightly familiar with it. You can do searches for factories, and you can start your search with, I'm only going to look for American-made solutions first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And go ahead.
There are other, countries that we get product from, like Germany, and I can't recall where else. But so there are some options, but not an awful lot.
Yeah. And like I said, by no means am I picking on your industry. I mean, we got thousands of cars and trucks sitting in lots somewhere because they can't get a semiconductor or a chip,
Right.
that are made, sourced in China, of course. Yeah, it's a real problem. It's just not a news headline. People, like I said, a lot of people hear that and it kind of blows over their head or washes off their back, not realize, well, it doesn't affect me because I go every day to get my Starbucks, and I'm okay. The Starbucks is still there, or whatever it is that your daily routine and involves. But then, it's a real thing. It's a real problem, and we to divert slightly to the small business patriot, we have got as a nation, the time has come and passed. We have got to address this, and we've got to start making more stuff. And there's a whole nother argument, and we won't get into that for this episode because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer today. But there's a whole nother argument. Well, we can't afford it because American unions and the American labor cost, and it's going to be yeah. But there's ways to do that, and I think that our American know-how and ingenuity, we can devise some manufacturing processes that can be economies of scale and bring down those unit costs. We've got to put our heads together. We got to give Elon Musk a call and say, look, how do we? I've been watching a lot of videos. I don't chant. I like Elon a lot. He is an old soul, and he took the battery industry. By the way, folks, we're going to divert just slightly today. We've got a great topic. We want to introduce you a little bit more formally to the Northeast Florida Business Alliance and talk a little bit about the genesis of that organization and where we are today. So I'll wrap this up in a minute here about Elon Musk, but we got a great show. So don't part ways with us. I want you to hear about this. Elon, back in the 90s, after he got out of PayPal and made a fortune there, he basically looked at the battery power supply. This is from him speaking. And he was trying to figure out, is there a less expensive way and a more productive way to build an energy source in the form of a battery that could fuel an automobile? And everyone, all the engineers came to him and said, no, you can't do it. It's just not, it's not feasible. And so he took a very physics-minded approach and took every element of the battery, from the steel casing that sits in, or whatever the casing is, and all the, I don't know, the chemical compounds that make up a battery, but he listed them. There's a great video on YouTube about it. And he said, let's break them apart individually and see how we can source them and do such a way that we can incorporate economies of scale, therefore making it less expensive, and then culminate these products together to formulate this battery. Well, he figured out a way to do it that not only less expensive, but more efficient and more powerful for like less than a third of the cost. Well, I know in business, it's like water takes the least path of resistance. If you turn your garden hose on and lay it across the front yard and watch where the water stream goes, it'll figure out the path it wants to go. And it'll hit a bump in the grass or something, turn right and go around it, and then keep trickling all the way till it gets to the sidewalk or wherever you are. to the low point. Well, that's kind of the way we've operated in American businesses. We've just said, well, we're going to figure out a way to do this, and we're not going to work real hard at it. We're just going to figure out a way to make the profit that we need and then back into it. Well, we've not only have to do that, but we really got to start putting our heads together and saying, it's got to be bigger than that. It's got to be it can't just be profit margin that we're after. We've got to figure out a way to do it more efficiently, more cost effective, more, dare I say, eco-friendly. I mean, we're going to have to be good stewards of our surroundings as well. And as a conservative, I know my liberal friends would be very, oh, you just don't care about the ecology. You don't care about the environment. You just want dirty water and dirty air. No, that's not it at all. We're charged to be good stewards of our surroundings. You know, God's creation is a beautiful thing. So we've got to do that. And I think we've been lazy, to tell you the truth, because it's been so easy. And we got places like China and other parts of the world that are taking our lunch. Now, labor, they're doing kind of the same thing. They just cut out the labor costs. You know, they got people that slaves working for them. We can't do that. But I know that with a little applied ingenuity, we can figure this out. Hell, we got to the moon, you know, with a computer that has less than this cell phone going for it. We can figure, and guys back at Cape Canaveral using slide rules in Houston, figuring out the math, we can figure this out. So anyway, all right, before I get myself in trouble on a soapbox, we'll stop there. But anyway, cool. Well, that's congratulations, first of all, that you were able to find a source. I assume your customer doesn't know all they got is the glasses, and that's all they care about, and that's fine. So you met and or exceeded their expectations, and ultimately that's what we're here for, right?
Right.
Okay. All right, that was an end around the elbow to get to where we are today. That's pretty consistent with Dave. All right, so I wanted to reintroduce this Northeast Florida Business Alliance. And in case for those of you listening aren't aware of this, if I can't think up a longer name to call an organization, I'm not doing my job. So I believe me, it was longer than that, and I've just been trying to shorten the thing. But there's a Northeast Florida, because we're located in Clay, Duval, and St. Johns County, first of all. And Business Alliance, of course, we're all small business owners, and or professionals who work for someone else, but we reside in one of those counties, Clay, Duval, and St. Johns counties. That's kind of our nationalist approach. I want to give you a little bit of genesis, how the thing started, and go from there. So 4 years, it's almost 4.5 years ago, I think we said this before, I moved to Clay. Well, I moved to Clay County about 8 years ago, I guess. But we started this thing called PromoteClay. And PromoteClay was basically just small business people getting together over coffee and having a networking meeting in Clay County. And the rule was that you had to be a Clay County-based business or reside as a professional in Clay County. And I didn't want, I'd been exposed to all the quote-unquote networking groups from, you know, the BNIs, the BizNets, the chambers, all that stuff in a previous life. And those organizations, I'm not going to beat them up too bad. There are some great things they do in their organizations, and there's some things I just didn't like. And so who is it? Solomon says there's nothing new under the sun. And so I just took the things that I liked from those organizations and left the rest of them on the table and decided that we would put together PromoteClay. And so all my career as a furniture rep for 13 years, covering the entire state of Florida, and also as a financial advisory role in the financial services industry, almost 13 years, has been relationship driven. You know, any Tom, Dick, and Harry could do what I do. But people buy us. People buy you, Peggy. You know, when you provide that solution about the glassware and other things that you do, the key that you did for the customer that was looking for that special key, and the other solutions, the things you do, the things that we've done together to, you know, we've done some business together, and you're very solution driven, and you listen to the customer and you take care of your customer every step of the way. It's all relationships. And so I've worked with other people in your industry, and I've worked with other people in other industries. And, you know, if you just don't get a good feeling from the person you're dealing with, you don't want to do business with them.
Right.
If you can choose somebody else. And so, anyway, so that's the concept of where this PromoteClay thing came from. I wanted to bestow upon other people this concept about building relationships. It's a longer, turnaround than the quick fix of transactions. The word of the day here in the national government is transitory. Our inflation is transitory. Yeah. Well, relationships are not transitory. Relationships are long-standing and take a long time to develop. But when you develop them, they pay off in spades. So it's good stuff. Anyway, so what I've discovered is small business owners like you and I are so focused on going out in the field, finding new customers, and spending a lot of time sourcing those elements that you need to service your customers with. And there's no time to pull up from what you're doing to build relationships, other than the ones you're working on that day. Right. And so what I bring to the table is I go out and develop these vignettes, I call them, if you will, where we can gather. All you got to do is put me in your schedule, put us in your schedule, and just show up. And the rest of the work is done as far as coordinating a lunch event or an after hours event or a Zoom call that we do twice a week, and all kinds of goodies to put people together in what I call favorable conditions. That's a financial services term. But ultimately, we as salespeople, small business owners and proprietors of our businesses, we want to meet people in favorable conditions, meaning that we want them to know, clear and full of transparency, that we're there to make some new friends, but we're also here to conduct business. When's the last time? Can you think of a time when someone said, "Hey, let's get together for coffee," and you're thinking, "Oh, okay, this sounds kind of cool," but you got to the coffee and suddenly the PowerPoint presentation came out and you were being presented. What was the emotion you felt from that?
Oh, I just felt betrayed and not happy. I felt like
yeah. But if the person had been transparent and said, "Look, I'd like to get together with coffee with you," and reality is I'd like to share with you my business and what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. You may say no because you're like, "No, I'm not interested," or at least you would be forewarned enough to make a sound judgment on your own and say, "Oh, okay, I'll give you that." But the last thing you want to do is show up and then suddenly it's a 90-degree turn and we're going down a path that you had no idea you were going to do. And so that whole favorable condition concept is, look, we're gathering to promote business. So let's not fool each other. We're here to meet and greet some new people, to develop some trust, some empathy, and some trust for one another, and to make some friendships, some long-lasting friendships. But at the end of the day, we're here to promote business, my business and your business, and we can do it in a way, in a fashion that's acceptable and favorable for one another. And as I like to say, each of us have got our big boy and big girl panties on. We know what's going on, so there's no fooling each other. And that's what this organization's about. And so we've decided that it's time to take this 4.5-year beta test of PromoteClay and expand to Clay County, Duval County, and St. John's. And so now we're moving from, I had the numbers wrong last time I quoted it. Clay County is about 215,000 people. Of course, not all business owners, those are residents. I could be wrong on this. Duval, last I checked, they're probably, Greater Duval is probably over 1 million people now, but I always keep thinking 750,000 people. And then St. John's County is probably 300,000. So we're now sitting in a group, instead of being 215,000, we're gonna be well over 1 million in the 3 counties exposure. So it should be, I think they call that going to scale. We should be taking this thing to the next level. And so to wrap this little segue up, in the spirit of developing names for organizations that are really long, Northeast Florida Business Alliance, I've been trying to figure out ways to shorten that. We're using an acronym maybe of the letters. And there's an organization, a great organization here in Northeast Florida called the Northeast Florida Builders Association. Long-standing, great organization, obviously made up of builders and all the accoutrements that go along with that as far as industry players. And by no means do I want to mess with those guys. And they use the acronym NE, Northeast. So it looks like NEFPLA, I think they say. A lot of people that come to the NEFPLA meeting. So we don't want to play in that pool because it's just, we'll get lost. And so like your local chamber, like the Clay County Chamber of Commerce, Clay County Chamber of Commerce, Jacksonville, is it Jacksonville Chamber of Commerce?
Jacksonville area or Jacksonville?
Yeah. I think it's area, something area. Anyway, so they're, long-standing names. I actually kind of put it to prayer, subconsciously or consciously said, man, I need a shortened version of this. I can't figure out how to do this because catchy sometimes works. We're going to get to a story with you, Peggy, on the catchy stuff, but okay. Sometimes you need a catch. All of us are so busy. Individuals, small business owners, whomever, we're all busy. And I used to think we're all stupid on some level, but the reality is we're busy and we got a lot of things on our plate, and even more so now. There's a lot of spinning plates in the air. And so if I try to burden someone with my idea that they're going to remember it, good luck. It's probably not going to happen. So I got to put my ego aside and say, okay, well, how can we shorten this in such a way? And so it came to me, and I'm going to give the Lord credit because he gets credit for everything, especially in my simpleton mind. If something good comes out of it, then he definitely gets credit for it. The Alliance. So Northeast Florida Business Alliance, AKA the Alliance. And so I did a quick word search. And of course, I did the word search to set this up anyway. But then the definition of alliance, I'm reading from, I don't know, was this Webster's or whatever it is. It's a noun, obviously, a union or association formed for mutual benefit, especially between countries or organizations. A relationship based on an affinity and interest, nature, or qualities, the state of being joined or associated. The Alliance. That's what we're about. And so just like the chamber or other organizations that do that, that's it. The Alliance. I love it. So have you joined the Alliance? Have you heard about this the Alliance? No. What's the Alliance? Well, we're going to tell you about it. So that's where we're headed. It's Northeast Florida Business Alliance. And the Alliance is coming to a county near you in Clay, Duval, and St. John's. And what we do to wrap this up is for the last 4.5 years, I've promoted that everything we do is on Thursday. Then you got to select certain days, and your people are always figuring out the days to do. I think there's an organization that meets on Friday mornings or something that does, an after hours on Tuesdays, or I don't know what they do. So Thursdays are important to us because we want to support local businesses. And local businesses, meaning meeting places, there's local restaurants throughout all these 3 counties. And Thursdays have proven to be slow lunch days for these guys. And so every time I walk in to a potential place that we're going to meet and organize as a meeting space, as soon as I mention Thursday lunch, the guy or gal wants to hug me because they're slow on Thursdays. And so we get to be heroes. We don't want any special favors. We don't want any special discounts. I'm not asking you to join my organization. You can if you want, but you don't have to. A lot of these organizations, I'll leave the name out who does it, but they'll go to a restaurant like that and say, listen, we're going to bring a lot of our members here. You should join our organization. You should cough up a couple $100 and we're going to do wonders and cucumbers for you. And as soon as they join us, like, oh, okay, see you later. I've seen that play out. And so we don't do that. We come to you and say, look, I know altruism sounds a little, it's hard to trust, but we're actually going to bring 18 to 20 people or 15 to 20 people to lunch. on a Thursday at your place. We're gonna order off the menu. All we ask is separate checks, and don't charge me a room fee. But we're gonna bring business to you, unsolicited. Yeah, we're heroes on a Thursday, and then we're gonna put you in rotation for after hours. We're gonna come back on a Thursday night from 6 to 8, and we're gonna bring 20 to 30 people to your place for business. No favors, no. I pay full price. Oh, Dave, well, you're the organizer. You must be eating for free. Nope. I pay full price and I tip well. So because we believe now as an organization that we've got to support our local businesses, because if we don't, they won't exist. And to get off onto another topic, if we don't have small business and the middle class, there's small businessmen and women in the middle class are the check and balance of independence away from the state, away from the government, because big business makes deals with government and is in bed with, it used to be the other way around. Now, everyone used to love big business, but big business now is making deals with the government and colluding with them. And we as small business owners and the middle class are the last of the independent structure away from the control of the government. And the way they control us is put us out of business. For those of you who might be listening or watching, I hope you're figuring out where I stand on this, but we need to support our local businesses. Hear me. We need to do that. And we need to stop thinking about how convenient it can be to have food delivered to you. Did you know if someone orders food from a restaurant and it's delivered to them, you know how much the delivery charge gets from the business? Do you have any idea? 35%. Mm. So, if lunch is $10 for easy numbers, the restaurant has to pay the delivery service $3.50. Not a winning deal for your convenience, because you're too lazy to get off your backside and go into the restaurant and be supportive and help the guy that's working for tips too. Right. So anyway, that'll get me down a whole nother path. But so that's what we're doing. Northeast Florida Business Alliance, the Alliance. June 1, we've kicked it off and we are running. We signed up, got our Duval location nailed down. It's actually called Iguana on Park. Iguana on Park, great restaurant. It's going to be really cool. We're helping them out because they're an incredible restaurant, first of all. And the owner, I'll say who owns it. Those of you who might be listening know. And he just does great things in the other businesses that he does. And it's just a trusted business, very much so, for quality and product and price and service. But they have a location over in Park Street in Jacksonville that's located right in a neighborhood. So the dynamics of the demographics are people leave that neighborhood and go to work in town. And the fellow was telling me, the general manager was telling me yesterday, that they're just far enough out of town where the people that work in the city don't have enough time to get there for lunch and get back to their work. And so lunches are, you could fire a cannon in the place during lunch the whole week. As soon as I said lunch on Thursday, he's like, please, we would love to have you for lunch. But they do a bang up job at night because everybody comes home from work and they're in the neighborhoods. People say, let's go to dinner tonight. Let's hang out. So they kill it at night. So I told him, said, don't worry. 99% of my people don't work downtown. They work from their car office. And so we shouldn't have a problem bringing people on lunch. So we got Jacksonville, Duval County lined up. We've got St. Johns County lined up. We got a couple things we want to iron out down there. And Clay County is figured out, of course. So we're up and running and ready to go. And if you want to find us, just tune over to LinkedIn. Jump over to LinkedIn, and there's a page called Northeast Florida Business Alliance, and like and follow it. I'll put a link in the show notes today. All right. Thank you, Peggy, for letting Dave hog the. I do want to come back to you because we talked about catchy phrases and the alliance. And I want to share. Can I share a funny story on you?
Certainly.
So years ago. Has it been 15 years? Have you been, maybe not that long?
No, probably 9, maybe.
9 or 10. Okay, 9. We'll say 9.
Okay.
who was I working? I was in the financial services business, and I got into that business because of long-term care insurance and other stuff. And so, but I joined. I don't know if I joined the chamber back then, but they have a thing called Finally Fridays in the mornings, and I think it cost me $10 or $20 back then. Ugh. Might have been as a non-member, it might have been $20 to show up to this thing. It's for sure 10. It might have been 20 as a non-member. I think it was 20. And the bill was, you got a breakfast. Wasn't a great breakfast, but whatever. And it was a chance to network. And it was probably a room of 50, 60 people. And they met over at Haven Hospice. Was that right?
Yes.
And they had a crazy fella who was the MC.
Ernie.
Ernie's passed now, but Ernie, I don't want to dwell on Ernie too much here, but for those who know him, you either love Ernie or you hate him. And I loved him, but he had he had a special way about him that I'm sure rubbed a few people the wrong way. His sense of humor was very similar to mine, actually, but I didn't bring that form of my humor out in public very often, and he did. But God bless him, he was a sweet man, and the guy was Mr. Clay County as far as I was concerned. I mean, he was always invited to be the MC of something that was going on in the local community, and he totally gave from his heart so much. And if you talk to people that knew Ernie, there's so many love stories about their relationship with him. Just a sweet man, but he had a edgy sense of humor. Like I said, either you loved it or you hated it. And anyway, so God bless Ernie, I miss him. But I ran into you. I think I must have gone to those meetings, I don't know, maybe a dozen times before I realized it just wasn't a perfect mix for me. But I remember this lady standing up, in those types of meetings, there's a minute session where you get to stand up, tell about who you are and about your company. The elevator elevator speech, which I'm not a great fan of, but there's a time and place for it, typically in elevators. And this woman stood up, and she was a marketing professional, and she represented specialty type products, that you could put your name on. And it was back in the day when the name tags, some of us can remember that there was this new name tag on the street. Instead of sticking the pin through your garment and tearing, people always came up with different solutions. They would stick the pin in something that they could move away from their garment so it didn't destroy their garment. And well, there's this magnet backed, everyone knows them now, nameplates. And they were kind of new on the scene, somewhat nuanced to them. And she had a great tagline. And I'm going to butcher it a little bit. She would say, "I'm your marketing specialist or your branding partner. And oh, by the way, if you lose the back of your name tag, don't worry, I've got your back." And that lady was you, wasn't it? Can you remember that pitch? Can you give us that in replay?
I would ask people in the room, raise your hand if you use a name badge with a magnetic back. And then I would say, raise your hand if your seatbelt or your purse strap has knocked that badge off so that you lose the magnetic back. And they all raised their hand, So at that point, I showed them, I had a bag full. I ordered from one of my suppliers, just a bunch of backs, and carry it with me. I have it with me at all times. And so I would hold it up and just say, if you've lost your name badge magnet, get with me because Peggy Lynch has your back.
There's a catchy phrase and a tagline, and it worked. Peggy, after you and I met, we've known each other on this working level for 4 years, I guess now. We've been kind of, I think we've known each other for a while, but at this more intimate setting, I guess. Well, you're my friend now, so I would call you a friend. But I think at some point during the last 4 years, maybe, I don't know, 18 months or 2 years into this relationship, it dawned on me, because you've got you've got a Midwest accent. You're from Chicago, and it's, you know, yeah. So anytime you go out, there's a couple things that resonate with people. There's scent, you know, the smell of food, or they'll take you right back to where you had that dish or where you remembered it. There's audio, which a song, any one of us can listen to a hit song on the radio and go, oh, wow, that takes me back to a date night or high school or college or something. And so your voice falls into that audio thing. And as you would present yourself throughout the, you know, meetings we would have and so forth, I was like, man, I recognize that from somewhere. And then it dawned on me who you were. So I had to ask you if you were that person with the backs. So hey, you got to make an impact, and we're all looking for ways, you know, I don't want to say it's gimmicky, but we need a gimmick, you know, you need a hook. And if the hook is legitimate, and I mean, that's why we put branding on promotional products. You know, here's a pin that says 21K promotions, for example. And that's not, you know, that's not new. It's not rocket science either. It's pretty, can you get that? It's pretty straightforward. Look at that.
It is
21K promotions. And so that's what you do. You provide solutions that allow people to remember the firm or the company that either they've done business with or they're being courted by. And so the cool thing, again, to kind of tout you a little bit, is you not only just provide the product that has the branded imagery on it, but you go the extra mile to get the right stuff, listen to your client, and provide the best solution that they need to their organization. So it all works. And by the way, I'll have your information in the show notes in case somebody wants to get in touch with you from many parts of the country. They can either see your website or your email address. All right. What else is going on with Peggy? You've been subjugated to Dave's talking the whole time.
Oh, that's fine. That was real good information about the Alliance. I'm glad you presented that. So
the Alliance.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. But, you know, we were talking about just a minute ago, I was going to say, in my business, I have to be an idea person. Okay. And you're right, not just provide a product. I have to be an idea person. So my brain, I think, has since been trained to come up with ideas for clients. As I'm sourcing things, I'll see a product and suddenly it'll come to me. This is what I want. I need to send this over to client ABC, you know, because it's going to fit perfectly. Then on the other side of the coin, sometimes my clients will tell me about an event or a purpose that they have where they're going to need promotional products, but they need for me to come up with ideas on packaging it, how to present it, and so forth. So my brain just kind of is naturally trained. And if I can share this, okay, I was at my therapy for my wrist the other day, and it's kind of tedious to sit there and do the same thing over and over, and you look at the walls. So on the wall, in their sign, it said, "We take pain to the bottom." Okay, and I just all of a sudden it came to me. I went, "Wait a minute, we've got a stress ball in the industry that looks like a butt." So I'm just sitting there. They need to be handing these out. They need to put their logo on this and hand it out. You know, that's your bottom. So, but,
too funny. You know, I thought about you yesterday. Well, we may do this. I'm not sure. There's a place over on the river that we go to. You haven't been to one of our? You've been there before, the River House.
Oh yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
So it's a great. We have this beautiful river, the St. Johns River, that runs right through central. It's one of those rivers that flows north. I think there's only two of them in it: the Nile and the St. Johns River. Isn't that crazy? Yeah. God said, yeah, we make a river that goes downhill. Let's make one that goes uphill. So So I made 2 of them, one for each side of the planet. It's a beautiful landscape, and we've got this great little what do you call it? A bar. I mean, it's a bar basically. They don't serve food, but it's incredible. It's just a great place for people to gather and hang out, called the River House. Well, they serve bottled beer. They don't have any draft. They serve bottled beer, and it's hot in Northeast Florida this time of year. It's warm. Of course, the river, as soon as you step off the bank downstairs to the deck, it's about 10 degrees difference. The breeze blowing. It's a little bit cooler, but it's still hot. And so I got a bottled beer last night. We went down there. They don't serve food, so Sheila called and said, "What do you want to do for dinner?" And I said, "Well, why don't you grab some food at Publix, and we'll go down to the River House and have a picnic, you know?" And so we bring our own food, and that's okay. And I got a cup of beer. She got a beer, and our youngest isn't 21 yet, so she had a diet soda. And then, so the beer, I do this old trick with bar napkins, and you make a koozie out of it. You know, it's not very productive, but it works. And so I talked to the bartender. I said, "You guys, we need a koozie. We need a koozie that says the River House on it." And so she goes, "Well, if you bring your own koozie, we'll store it for you." I'm like, "Okay, that seems kind of weird." So I think maybe we should get together after the show, not just a cheapie, but a bottle koozie size. Make a note. Let's find out how much it costs to do like a black or something, maybe not black, but whatever color. And it wouldn't have to have anything fancy other than the imprint of the place. And let's see how much those cost. Maybe it's a business, an ongoing concern, but maybe there's a donation that could be made from the Northeast Florida Business Alliance or something. I don't know. We don't have to tag it with us. It just be something we do. And I'll show up with a bunch of koozie and say, here's a solution. Let's work with this and see what they think. All right. Anyway, but there's a solution. You know, you think about this stuff. There's an application that needs to be done. I mean, the bottles, it's warm beer before you know it. You know, and there's a time and place for good food or not so great food and warm beer. There was I don't want to get into that story, but the bottom line is the scenery is so much better than the warm beer, and the warm beer is okay, and the warm beer is okay. Yeah, but if we could have keep an ice cold beer a little bit. Some people bring a little. There's one older gentleman that has I've never seen one before, I guess, but it's a thermal aluminum, double walled aluminum, you know, these tumblers that you get, but it's made for a bottle of beer, and he slips the bottle down in there and screws the top on it and drinks out of that. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. No pun intended, but anyway. All right. We're getting ready to get slippery here off into a slippery slope. Before we wrap up, anything else? I like this conversational piece that we do, by the way, and I want to stay consistent. We've talked about, I'm going to do some more show prep to get ready for each episode, obviously, but I never want to get into a scripted situation. So, and maybe the viewers will appreciate that. Maybe they won't, and we'll find out soon enough after 20 episodes. Now, by the way, we're getting some traction. For those of you listening on Spotify, we appreciate you so much, and we're getting ready to wrap this up. So if you need to get on to something else, like go mow the yard or something, we'll be done with you in just a second. But we are getting some traction and some more viewers and listeners. And I think I hope the information is good. And I hope the information we talked about, like last time, an exit strategy and your what's the succession planning and that sort of thing. Today's topic was a little bit off the chart a little bit. But I hope this friendly banter and the time we have together is beneficial as well. I promise we won't do too much of that, but I think there's a room for it. And if not, weigh in the comments. Leave a comment. Someone leave us a comment and say, this sucks. Theus, that's a bad idea, or we like it. So you can't hurt my feelings. All right. Any parting thoughts, Peggy, before we wrap up? Do you?
Just very excited about the Alliance.
The Alliance. Yeah, that's it's either a space odyssey we're getting ready to embark on, or I don't know. We're going to have fun with it, but that's what it is. All right. Well, let's wrap this up because I'm finding I'm going to get myself in trouble. So my name again is David Theus, like the U.S. Theus. I like saying that. It's a holdover from another life. My co-host is Peggy Lynch with 21K Promotions. And again, I'll leave her contact information in the show notes, her website where you can click on and see what she does, as well as her email address. You can communicate with her personally, one-on-one, and she'll get back to you in a timely fashion. And we'll have some information about where you can go to on LinkedIn, and I'll put the link to the page, Northeast Florida Business Alliance, so you can like and follow us. We're set up on Facebook as well. Maybe I'll put that link in there as well. So if you're a Facebook person, you can find the Northeast Florida Business Alliance page. And if you're a LinkedIn person, you can find us there as well. But as we've said in the beginning of the show, we are looking for business owners whose business is based in Clay, Duval, or St. Johns County, Florida. Or you may not be a business owner. You may be a professional that works for someone else, which is fine. We love those people too. But we ask that you be a professional that resides in either Clay, Duval, or St. Johns County. If you're from Orlando or you're from Pensacola Beach or somewhere else and your territory includes those three counties, we appreciate that, but we're not interested in this may sound a little bit raw, but we want to be supportive of those people that live in our three counties. This is me being a nationalist and putting a fence around these three counties. That's what we want to do. We want to show and prove our support for the local business owners and professionals that live in those three counties. So we appreciate that you want to do business with us, but we're not interested in diluting the mix. Some people may take that the wrong way, but I don't care. Again, David Theus. And I appreciate, Peggy, the work that you're doing with us and your friendship and the opportunity to serve you in this capacity as well. And as I always say to my folks, stay vigilant. We need to, wherever you are listening or watching this, you need to join up with other like-minded people and gird your loins, because we're getting ready to walk into, it's going to be tough. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be tough, but anything worth striving for and worth achieving is never easy. So keep working hard, keep your head down, and keep thinking about how you can serve your customers, your friends, your loved ones and family members, and put others first, and the rest will take care of itself. So stay vigilant. Peggy, have a great rest of your weekend and a great week. We'll see you soon.
Okay. Thanks, David.
Peace out.